Let's look at Tuesday in the NBA. Which players might be stream options for us? Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I've been calling her Crandall. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshlloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Also, check out LockedOnDaily.com. The best newsletter for your favorite NBA team is there. And you can double bang over here and subscribe and thumb and leave all those comments if you did win a fantasy championship and for some reason you're still here. W to you. It's not that I don't want you here. I do want you here, right? But I want you here more because, again, these things probably aren't that relevant for you. But when the off-season actually starts, that's where we start rolling things through. But if you are here now, you are an absolute true double banger. Everyone else, let's just keep trying to win those head-to-head championships. Let's try to win those roto championships. Let's try to get something cracking as the league goes through. Now, I hadn't given an update on industry pickup in the championships, but they finished yesterday. The Roto League is still going. The two head-to-head leagues, we had the Snake Draft League and the Auction League. We had Dan Titus win the Snake Draft League. He beat NBA Fantasy Bible in the championship for that, so shout out to Dan Titus from Yahoo. And then we had Point Made Basketball beat, now I'm just blanking on who they beat. Let me double check that. So it was Josh and Evan from Point Made beat Angle Fantasy Basketball in the Auction Championship. I was in the playoffs. I was in the Auction League. I was in the playoffs there, and I lost, I think, 6-3 in the first round after finishing the 4th seed. Disappointing in that one. I also won the head-to-head Roto Hybrid League that Kingy set up. The one where I don't know why my team was so good in that. I had picked 4 in that league. My team was so dominant, and I think I had a winning percentage of 840 in that league, and I beat Caleb Fonte in the final of that one. So that was a W there for me in that league, so I was happy to get that end result in that one. So that's the industry pickup. It will give the Roto results at the end of the season when that is done, plus the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl Roto Leagues still running as well. You will know what happened with the category in the points leagues where the Battle Royal just all crashed and we couldn't actually determine a winner. But if you are in those leagues, you have been, and you made the Battle Royale, you have been paid out the prize money there. We split all the prize money between all the Battle Royale participants, so you've all received your payouts there. Okay. It is, apparently today, it is Slovenian Mother's Day. So Mother's Day in Slovenia. Shout out to Luka Doncic's mum. If you want to wish her a happy Mother's Day, that's what today is for. We're here to talk about Monday. Like I said, not Monday. No, I wish... do I wish it was Monday? I don't think I do. I just wish that I got it correct. We're here to talk about Tuesday in the NBA. We know that this week is a very spread out day in terms of games. There's 8 on Monday, there's 8 on Tuesday. So a relatively busy day, but a perfect day for us to be able to stream things in. So let's take a look at how the schedule plays out to begin the week, or let's take a look at Tuesday's schedule in terms of back-to-backs. We do have 3 teams coming into Tuesday on a back-to-back from Monday. Dallas, Orlando, and the Kings. The Dallas one is interesting because it seemed like we weren't going to have Anthony Davis play, and he might play on Tuesday, but more likely end of the week. But now, Davis has been upgraded to questionable for Monday. So they're pushing him even earlier now. I don't really get what's happening, but that's okay. But him playing on Monday suggests to me that he won't play on Tuesday. So a lot of the streaming decisions we make are under the assumption if Davis goes from out to doubtful to questionable, that progression makes you think that he will play on Monday, meaning that he probably won't play on Tuesday. So that'll open up value for other guys on Tuesday. The Magic, that's whatever. And then the Kings, well, after the Shams reported that Domantas Sabonis would be out at least 10 days, he's set to return in 5 days. Again, what is the point of this? I don't, not that I don't understand the point of it, but what's the point of giving a 10-day timetable, but he's available in 5? Who is this man? Wolverine. Worked out so well last time. Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. But then there's only one team playing the Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back, and it's probably the worst team to stream from It's the New York Knicks. Except probably the best streamer for the entire day on Tuesday is a Knicks player. I don't know that it's going to work for the back-to-back, but there's no Brunson. There's probably no McBride. So Cam Payne's in a really good spot. If we knew if we knew McBride would miss Wednesday, it would be elite to stream in Payne for the back-to-back. But we don't. We don't know that. I wish we did, but we don't. What about the next 5 days, Tuesday through to Saturday? Which players play 3 games and are good enough to use? There are some risky ones here. Aaron Nesmith's not that risky. Pretty good. Kyle Filipowski is. He started last game. Larry Markkinen was out with personal reasons. Now he's out with an illness. They're playing a bunch of good teams. Does Markkinen even play, though? Because Filipowski starting is useful. Filipowski playing 18 minutes for the bench is not. I have no idea what they're going to do with Markkinen. It's really tough to try and commit to that. So I'll put Filipowski's name there, but that's one that's up in the air. Jackson Hayes, pretty secure stuff. Andrew Nembhard, pretty secure stuff. Max Christie, probably less secure, but also maybe not. Like Anthony Davis returning, I'm not sure how much that impacts Christie. I think it might be relatively solid. I think he's fine. 3 games there. Like, he hasn't been good. Let's be clear about that. But 3 games in 5 nights is useful. And then Milk Jerome as the other one. The name I could have included there was Zaire Williams. I'm just not confident, given the fact that he had this hamstring issue and the fact they've got a back-to-back, that he's going to play all 3 games. If I knew that he was going to play all 3 games, then I'd be a bit more confident in suggesting that he's going to be a good option there. But I don't know that. So that's hard to commit to that. Over the next 7 days, Tuesday through to Monday, we've got 3 teams that only play twice. So if you're looking for longer ads or injury-boosted players, Denver, Minnesota, and New Orleans play twice over the next 7 days. So, in New Orleans, Zion's out again, both sides of the back-to-back. I don't know what that means for the rest of the season. But if you are considering a longer ad of Jose Alvarado or Jordan Hawkins or Carlo Makovic or even a Kelly Olynyk, 2 games in 7 nights, doesn't really work. In Minnesota, Mike Conley's been solid enough, but do you want to hold through this? Probably not. DiVincenzo, Reed, you got to make tough calls on those guys. And then in Denver, Russell Westbrook, if he's playing 23 minutes, he's nowhere near worth that. Is Christian Brown worth holding for 2 games in 7 nights? Is Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter? Probably not. These are the decisions you make on these teams whose schedule is very limited at this point, based on, again, when your league ends, when your season ends, and how you or how many games you need to sort of be boosting in. Let's take a look at some injury statuses that we need to check on for Tuesday. We know that Cade Cunningham missed the last game for the Pistons. I'm pretty sure he's going to play, but in surprising news, after he looked like a serious ankle injury, they said he's going to be out for some time. He was in a walking boot. Tim Hardaway is questionable. What? What is happening? This looked like a 2 to 3 week injury. That's basically what they said. And he's back in 3 days. The reason that's important, not that we're using Tim Hardaway, but his absence would have meant Dennis Schroeder played 30 minutes. And if Hardaway is in, Dennis Schroeder won't play 30 minutes. And that will have an impact. It'll also be able to somehow boost Asar Thompson. And I say somehow because it's just another shooter. And the more shooters you have available means the more minutes that Asar Thompson can play. So that's interesting. Cole Anthony, I don't know. He's been out a long time with his toe injury. If he's available, that's useful. If he's out, Corey Joseph's a deep streamer. I put Anthony Davis on the list. He is questionable for Monday. So if he's out Monday, he probably will play Tuesday. But I do think he plays Monday, then sits on Tuesday. And then Steph, reports were very weird with this one. He might only miss 1 game. I thought for sure he was missing at least 2 games, making a decision of whether you needed to hold Steph really tough if your season ended this week. But he looks like he might come back on Tuesday again. I think it looks like I got that wrong interpreting the way they were talking about it. That looks like Steph might be back on Tuesday. Obviously, if Steph is out, you get boost to Moody, you get boost to Podziemski, you get boost to Quinton Post as well. If he's in, then those guys do lose value. The other one there is Ja Morant, who just doesn't play anymore, I guess. Another hamstring soreness injury. Eventually, they'll call it a strain, I'm sure, but who knows. Larry Markkinen has missed 2 in a row with an illness. Like, they're playing good teams. I don't know. He is a linchpin in terms of how everything plays out on that squad. If he is in, then Filipowski's and Zhuzhang's and I'm trying to think, KJ Martin, those guys all lose a ton. If he's out, then we see what they do with Sexton and Clarkson. It's all over the shop. Chet Holmgren missed the last game for the Thunder. Jalen Williams has been out for a week and a half. Their status impacts your ability to use Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams. But we're just waiting on those two. Malik Monk and Domantas Sabonis, we get an idea of this on Monday. I think if Sabonis plays Monday, he will play Tuesday. No guarantee he sits on an ankle sprain. I think he'll be okay. But we don't know. Then Monk with an illness, he should be, if he plays Monday, he'll be fine Tuesday. And then I'm just going to go ahead and perpetually list Jeremy Ides of March Grant as doubtful with this knee soreness that crops up literally every single year at the same time of year. I think part of it is also that if Jeremy Grant does play, he would want to start and he would play 30 minutes, or they'd feel like they were obliged to start him. And that means one of Shaedon Sharpe or Denny Avdia or Tumani Kamara would have to come off the bench. Unless they bring Donovan Clingan off the bench and just start small, which I guess they could do. But I think you're not rostering Jeremy Grant pretty obviously, but we're in that spot now where it's full Jez mode. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Do you ever check your bank account and wonder where did all the money go between dining out and online shopping and entertainment? It's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center tracking all your accounts, all your investments, and all your spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building your wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances and track that spending and even plan your long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com. The code is LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Okay, that will bring us into streaming decisions, or streaming ideas, or streaming suggestions, or however you want to phrase it. Let's take a look at Yahoo points. I already told you that this part of it is here a bit. Is LeBrunson out? Yes. Is McBride doubtful? Yes. So that means it's probably Cameron Payne. Like if you're in deeper leagues, he's not included on this list, but in deeper leagues, we do look at Tyler Kolek, who played 18 minutes and had pretty good assists and steal numbers. But Payne is going to play a lot of minutes, and he's going to be pretty useful for us with the assumption that McBride is out, and we should assume that is doubtful. I've got Dillon Brooks there, who's just somehow playing consistently well. That's a surprise to me as well. But he is doing it. And we'll see how they continue to run their rotation. We know that last game it was Jabari and Tari who both saw under 20 minutes to fit everybody in. And I don't think Brooks is really at risk of losing minutes, but he's been really good. Caris LeVert obviously is always better in points than categories. And he's back and he played 28 minutes last game, so we're using him. Max Christie is risky, obviously, but there's at least 26 minutes for him, I would say there. He's available in 80% plus of leagues. And I do like it as a single day stream. Now, you'll say, Josh, why would Kai Jones be on the list if Anthony Davis is back? I think that Jones can still have value. I think they'll just stop playing Dwight Powell. But also, this is working under the assumption that Davis plays Monday and sits Tuesday. So we'd be back to the non-Davis minutes, meaning that Jones should be able to do a lot more, which elevates his value quite a bit. Now, that thinking could be different because maybe Davis doesn't play Monday and he plays Tuesday. So anytime I'm referencing a Kai Jones through this show in terms of streaming, it's working under the assumption that Davis is in Monday and out on Tuesday. And if Davis is in on Tuesday, then Jones's value does dip. Not a huge amount, but it does dip. The other one there is another one that's a little risky, but he's available like every league, Steven Adams. He's played 20 minutes at least in 3 consecutive games. There's no back-to-back coming up. He's playing alongside Alperen Şengün, and he's getting double-digit rebounds, some blocks, some assists. He's putting up useful fantasy points for deeper leagues, and he's available everywhere. So that's just one of those ones when you're double onyxing, and you're looking for who's a guy that I can grab that nobody's thought about. Maybe Steven Adams might be a little bit of a name to look at. ESPN points list is pretty similar here. We're going to start off with Cameron Payne. Again, you're going to hear that name a lot in this show. You got Dillon Brooks, you got Caris LeVert, Max Christie. Then the guy that I do give a bit of a bump because of the scoring system on ESPN is the Duck, Luke Kennard, because the threes are valued more. I don't know whether Morant is available or not, but Kennard's going to get 20-ish minutes irrespective of that. And he is a little hit or miss. It is more deeper league stuff. I'm talking 14, 16 team leagues. And I wouldn't be highly prioritizing Kennard in 12s. But he's got to be on the radar because the role is there. Like he's got enough minutes with scope to improve that if Morant does get ruled out with the sorest hamstring in world history. Kai Jones is also on that list for all the reasons I just explained about the current expectation based on injury reporting trends is Davis in Monday, out Tuesday. But, that could change. Let's look at category leagues. Points and threes. At the top of the list, guess who it is? Yeah, it's Cameron Payne. Because you're talking about a guy that's available everywhere, 99% of leagues, who probably plays 30-plus minutes and gets ball handling responsibilities on the Knicks. That's him. Like, he's not a very good player. He's a solid-ish backup point guard. He's not great, but you're elevating into a larger role with more ball handling and more usage, and 16 points, 7 assists, reasonable. I think that's pretty good. 3 threes, reasonable. A steal, reasonable. All that is a pretty reasonable result, and it can easily go higher than that, of course. Plus, you've got the bonus that maybe it's a back-to-back start as well, which is a W. Max Christie is on there. Again, we know that there is probably limited upside with Christie, but enough of a floor in the points and threes category with players out and the assumption that Davis isn't there to be useful. I've got Moses Moody there as well. Moody would be a little bit higher if I knew that Steph was out, but I don't know this at this point, and it is trending towards Steph playing again, which is pretty weird, but that's okay. Moody, this is what he does. He's a scorer. He hits threes. I really love the fact that they, after 4 years, have realized, hey, this guy's actually not a bad player, and he's playing more minutes than Jonathan Kuminga. And I'm always going to compare those two because they were in the same draft class, and when I was doing my evaluation of those guys, I had Moody as a top 10 player and Kuminga as a late lottery pick, and in the end, they flipped in terms of where they were drafted, and obviously to the same team. But Moody is finally sort of getting a role. Never saw it really being unleashed, so to speak, but he's doing enough there. I've got Lou Dort in this mix as well. His role would increase if Chet and or Jalen Williams are out. Just a couple of extra shots. The minutes are always secure for him, but this is what he does. He doesn't do anything else particularly well. Well, steals he's pretty good at, but this is what he does. George Niang was an elite back-to-back streamer over the weekend for the Hawks. No reason to think that he doesn't play 23 minutes again. Now, getting 20 points and 5 threes out of him, don't expect that. 12 points, 3 threes. 12 points, 4 threes. 10 points, 3 threes. Maybe. That's completely reasonable for the role that he's in. And then, of course, Luke Kennard, because that is what he does. And what we want when we're talking about points and 3 streaming is this what they do? Yes, Kennard, Niang, Moody, Christie. That's what they do. Payne's a different story there, and Dort does some defensive stuff, but offensively, this is what he does. And that's the sort of player that we're looking for in these particular areas. We're going to talk assists and steals and boards and blocks, percentages to wrap the shop as a nice little streaming grouping. Let's go into the assists and steals now, and you're going to see that familiar name up the top. It is the big fella himself, Cameron Payne. What's the best case for Payne? 10 assists and 2 steals? 20 points and 4 threes? That's an interesting thing. I don't really know, and I think that's something we're going to try to do a little bit more on Basketball Monster, is produce outcome ranges for single-day streaming, variance spreads, and probabilistic outcomes. I know that sounds a lot of buzzword stuff, because it sort of is, but in terms of, because we do a daily projection, we go, 12.4 points, which is a number. Okay, that's fine. But players have ranges. So a level of what is the best case, what is the worst case based on our projections, based on probabilities, who's got a tight range, who's got an open range. That's the sort of thing that I think we're going to do a little bit more of. Anyway, campaign assists and steals. Scottie Pippen. Well, we know that there's guys on this list, the next 3 guys, what they do is assists and steals. Scottie Pippen, Davion Mitchell, and Alex Caruso, the rabbit hunter. Caruso, interestingly enough, 30 minutes last game. We thought they were just keeping him on a minutes limit because of injuries, but apparently they're just playing low minutes because they can. That's always an interesting development to me, is either stated or presumed minutes limits that aren't actually what they are. Because then that gives us further information about the next game where he plays 18 minutes. Okay, that's clearly a coaching decision. But we know that even in 19 or 20 minutes, and if Williams is out, that obviously helps Caruso. But even in 19 minutes, he can get 4 steals. Mitchell, been playing a bunch of minutes. It is hard to trust Spoelstra's rotations. I get the feeling that Jaquez will just be out of the rotation next game, and we get 30-ish of Davion, 6 assists and 2 steals possible. Luke Kennard is not as big of an assists or steals guy, but he is there for me, like 4 assists, a steal possible, 5 assists maybe. And then for your deeper double line extras, Blake Wesley. There is going to be a period this season. I don't know when it will be. I would say it's probably that final week of the season where Wesley will be a top-level streamer because Chris Paul is out and Wesley is starting, and he'll have 13 points on 14 shots with 7 assists and 2 steals. That'll happen. Write that down, somebody. I know you won't remember it. I won't remember. I know I won't remember it. Write it down. 13 points for Wesley, 7 assists and 2 steals at some point in the final week of the season in one game. No, let's say 16. 16 with 7 assists and 2 steals is coming for Blake Wesley in one game this season. Write it down. I'm sure it's wrong, but let's see. Anyway, his name's on that list because he is getting minutes at the moment, and any sort of blowout can bump that playing time up a little bit. What about the big fellas? It is, to be very blunt about this, a terrible day to try and find good big men streamers. My top guy available there is Steven Adams. And I don't have any level of confidence in his playing time game. Even though he's played 20 minutes in the 3 games in a row, I don't have any confidence. He might play 5. He might play 12. I don't know. But the options are so bad. I've got Mitchell Robinson there, but he's not playing 25 minutes. It's a back-to-back. There's also a small chance, although he's just sat the second half of all back-to-back so far. But what if he might not play? He's probably like a 15-minute guy here. So not true, about an 18-minute guy. But that could be 10 rebounds and 2 blocks. Isaiah Stewart is very low upside, but we know what he is. He's a 7-8 rebound player. He blocks a shot, maybe 2. Upside is a Duran foul trouble game. And then you get really rough, man. Like Bismack Biyombo, for some reason, started over Jeremy Sohan last game, and he got a bunch of garbage time minutes as well. Is he back in the rotation, even 12, 13 minutes? Could he be 5 rebounds and a block? It's rough, man. Because our next name is Dominic Barlow, the Dommy. Trojan himself. He was great, double-double last game. You know I like Barlow as a player. And as a starter, he would be a 12-team guy. But he's not a starter. But he could get you 6 rebounds. He could get you a block. He is the backup with Clint Capella out. The night watchman, Mohamed Gay, doesn't play center really at all. He's playing only at the 4. So Barlow's getting all of the non-Okongwu minutes. So that's a nice stream there. Again, it's deeper league stuff. And then we get to the man that it's impossible to predict. It's Haywood Highsmith. He's going to score 4 points. He might play 35 minutes. He might play 4. But what he does do is he gets some steals. He'll get you 5 or 6 rebounds, and he might get you a block. He might get 3 blocks. He might play 3 minutes. He is a dice roll, emergency. Let's see what happens. But in the Haywood Highsmith sine curve of production, we're on the way up. We're hitting the top. We will see it start to come down, and we know it'll come back down to 0. It'll go back up again to 30. Then it'll go. We know what it is. It's a roller coaster. Sine curve. Sine wave. Sine wave. Is that sine wave? That's the right word? I should have made it funnier and called it a sinusoidal wave. But yeah, sine wave is correct. That's sort of what his production is like. Percentage. Field goal. Gary Payton. Yeah, he's a guard. But he's an unbelievably good field goal percentage guy, and the volume for him has been pretty solid. Now, Steph will probably have an impact, but Payton still will play. Mitchell Robinson and Steven Adams are there as well. You don't expect volume from those guys, but it's not crazy to say that they have a 3 of 4 shooting game, 5 of 6, 5 of 7, 3 of 5, which is okay. Free throws, a lot easier to get better contributors there, so we're going with Cameron Payne, Max Christie, and the Duck, Luke Kennard, as our other streamer for those categories. And that is a little bit of a preview on Slovenian Mother's Day for Tuesday, March the 25th. Hit the old sub button, thumb it up, leave your comments down below. We'll be back with a Monday recap show later on today. All 8 games coming at ya. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.